Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining today's session. In this webinar, we'll be diving into the best practices for replicating the data from Dynamics 365 finance and operations into any analytics warehouse. So we'll cover how to ensure data integrity and achieve real or near real time sync, handle schema changes, and make your ERP data analytics ready. So from day one. So let's go to the next one and discuss about why this matters and what are the pain points that F&O customers face. So most Dynamics finance and operations customers reach a point where they need better visibility into financials, supply chain, or any operations data. So the built-in reports only go so far, like they're slow and they're often outdated, and they cannot join the data across the systems like CRM or HR. So the real goal becomes getting finance and operations data into a centralized warehouse. So it might be the Fabric or Snowflake or the Databricks or even your Azure Synapse, where Power BI, AI models, and business dashboards can come alive. But here is the actual challenge that many teams face. Every time the data moves out of FNO, or you call finance and operations, engineers end up building yet another custom pipeline using OData, or maybe they can tend to use data lake export or even the DMF jobs. And soon that simple sync turns into a full blown engineering project. So this is so tedious, and in today's session it's all about solving that. So you'll see what makes FNO or replication tricky, and why the first mile of integration is the hardest for most of the engineers. And also we're going to discuss about how the replication first approach can make your data analytics ready from day one. So let's jump to our next slide where we are going to discuss everything about finance and operations data landscape and integration options. So Dynamics 365 FNO is a robust ERP platform, but its data structure is definitely complex. So the key entities such as invoices, which is the heart of most organizations, and there are like ledgers, journals, and may it be purchase orders. These all are deeply interconnected, making the data extractions for analytics a non-trivial task for surely. So today we also want to talk about what are the most common integrations that engineers use, and what are the advantages and maybe like a pros and cons happening using these. So firstly, we want to talk about the DMFs here in our webinar today, so which is most suitable for batch exports, but it can be really slow, and it can be like sensitive to any schema changes. It requires careful handling of any dependencies, right? So this is one of the most common integration methods that is used. And next, I want to talk about OData API. This OData API enables the real-time data retrieval, but the throttling limits and the performance constraints make it really challenging for bulk extraction. And then there is like another common integration method that we would like to talk here, that is with the data lake. So exports to data lake, they have like a simplified or what you call centralized storage, yet it demands additional Spark or Synapse processing to clean, transform, and model your data before it's analytics ready. Also, there's like another integration method wherein event driven streams capture the changes efficiently, but definitely they aren't designed for any large scale continuous replication. So business events are one of the other most common integration methods that is being used. So the agenda here that we want to mention is all these methods work in a certain scenarios, they often struggle with scalability, reliability, and even schema evolution. A minor change in finance and operations can literally break pipelines, and incremental syncs become error prone and really challenging to manage. So, this is where the replication first approaches like DBSync offer a simpler, more robust solution, ensuring your data is always clean, consistent, and ready for analytics. So, these are a few key pointers, or maybe like the common integration methods that we had to discuss today with FNO data landscape. And we would further like to discuss more on, the key requirements for FNO to warehouse pipelines. So, when we are moving, the enterprise data from Dynamics FNO to a warehouse, there are like three critical pillars you can never compromise on. So every financial transaction, or may it be a journal entry or a line item, must be accurately reflected in the target system. Any mismatch can lead to incorrect reporting, audit issues, or even it can cause business errors. So integrity is one of the most important and critical pillar that you should definitely not compromise on. And if I have to talk about the most recent data, or what you call the freshness of the data, analytics and dashboards are only valuable if they reflect near real time data. So delayed updates can misinform a decision, and also especially for finance and operation teams, right? Because they solely rely on the current number or the latest data. So the data freshness is a no trade off, so it is absolutely necessary. So we will have to consider this as one of the most important or critical pillars when you are moving your ERP data from FNO to your warehouse. And also, not to forget, we have to definitely talk about this schema, how schema evolves in today's world. So FNO schema also keeps evolving frequently. Maybe like new fields might get added, or you might modify tables, or even rename the entities, which are so common. So the pipelines must handle these changes automatically. All your DIY solutions, all those brittle do it yourself solutions often fail silently, requiring constant monitoring and manual fixes. So, traditional approaches often struggle here. Like initial setups will work just fine, but over weeks or even months, it will become so hard for you to maintain accuracy and also the timeliness, and most importantly, adaptability. This becomes like a full time operational burden. This is why the replication first pipelines like DBSync are designed to handle these challenges reliably. So we also want to discuss, the most important part of our webinar, that is replication first architecture. So we'll dive into this very important part of our webinar. So the replication first architecture, Kishore, can you just take us through this approach and why it matters for moving ERP data like, Dynamics FNO?
Thanks, Tejaswini. So yeah, we can also, since we looked at what are the integration approaches and what are the risks and what are the considerations to get started with replication, let's see how the replication architecture looks like. So if we have to think of exporting or replicating the data over to your analytics platform, um, it's not just like exporting um, to a database and then using that anywhere else. The flow would be like you extract the data from DBSync, um, I mean through DBSync from FNO, and then move it to the target warehouse. So that would be SQL based, and then it would be analytics ready as well at the same time. So the way this works is first we set up a initial load which basically pulls all the data from your FNO as a full snapshot and then required entities can be selected. It can also be just all the entities available in FNO. Um, so that's the first point. And then we actually handle the schema, basically detecting any changes in the schema, like the field additions or changes, or maybe data as well. And we adapt to it and also alert if there are changes. So you are always informed of the change that is happening within FNO. We also talked about integrity, which is basically the one of the pillars that Tejaswini referred to as. So we refer these entities like customers, invoices, lines, and these are these needs to be stay consistent always. So we always make sure that um, these entities get replicated in a timely manner. So there won't be any manual transformations. We don't break any exports. It's just clean, structured way of replication, which lets you create dashboards for analytics using your analytics applications or tools. Next slide, please. So if your team already uses data to export, like using data lake or maybe using DMF jobs that we referred earlier, it can be like the transition to the replication itself is easy. So the suggested workflow would be like this. So we run parallelly DBSync alongside your export jobs, which basically the same data sets. This allows you to test without impacting ongoing processes. There would be validation, so you compare the records, check the historical data between the legacy exports and DBSync outputs to ensure accuracy and consistency. The next is incremental syncs. So we validate every time there is change within schema or data, we validate it and then make sure that both of the exports and the replication is having the current data. Once that is done, we can retire the legacy exports and pipelines. This basically would let us decommission the DMF or the data export jobs that you are maintaining at this point. It also reduces maintenance overhead. And lastly, you also have to ensure that uh, the historical data is consistent and we are getting all the data from the past changes. So nothing is lost from the point where we actually migrated over to the replication itself. Next is performance. Handling large Dynamics FNO data sets like millions of ledger entries, multi-year transaction history, or high volume journals requires a pipeline that is both efficient and it's predictable. DBSync addresses this with several performance-focused strategies like intelligent batching. So whenever we extract data from FNO, we optimize it so that we are not throttling the APIs and also not getting overwhelming the system itself. So we get the data in batches and then sync it over to the target warehouse. Next is incremental refreshes. So this we make sure that we only pull the changes that are like there are changes required, and we don't waste the resources on like unnecessary um, computation or anything of that related to the FNO itself or the warehouse. Next is compression and checkpoints. So data is compressed in transit, so it is always safe to um, actually encrypt the data while in transit and at rest. And also there are checkpoints which we maintain just so that if there are errors or maybe if we want to go back and then refer to some point and get the data, we always can do that, reprocess that data, such that you always have the current data in your system. So the outcome would be there would be more faster and reliable syncs with minimal strain on infrastructure and predictable costs, ensuring that your warehouse is always analytics ready without surprises.
Thanks, Kishore. That really clarifies a lot of things for me. So, I would also like to discuss a little bit about governance and compliance and auditing part. So, as you all know, ERP data carries sensitive financial and operational information. So, making governance and traceability very critical. So, with DBSync, you get built in controls that address these needs end to end. Every sync operations that you do, right, may it be update or any transformation, is going to be fully tracked, giving terms a clear record of what was changed and when that particular data was changed. So you get to see everything in the audit logs. And also, data is protected both in transit and at the rest. So this will definitely ensure that your sensitive information remains secure throughout the pipeline. So that's the encryption guarantee here for the data. That is, the most important. And also, access is controlled through Azure AD or equivalent identity management systems. So only authorized users can view or modify the data. So that way we have like RBAC alignment. And next, we also want to talk about this catalog ready metadata, which DBSync also provisions. DBSync automatically generates a lineage ready metadata, which will make it easy to integrate with tools like Microsoft Purview or the Databricks Unity catalog for end-to-end traceability. So, the result from this is definitely your analytics environments remain fully compliant with GDPR or any internal IT policies, while still enabling the fast, reliable access to trusted data. Concluding, we also want to walk you through a small demo of what DBSync can offer. So as you all can see, I am on the DBSync homepage now. So this is where you can add your profiles, select whatever desired application that you would want to. So in the current webinar, we are discussing about FNO. So I have a profile that is already configured, so which I'll be walking you through. So I'm going to quickly go and open this profile. So I have created and configured this for the purpose of demoing on this webinar. Once you click on the profile, you will be navigated on to the source page. So this is for FNO configuration that you'll be doing here. As you can see, you have to give the details or configuration details for the storage account on ADLS. And also you'll have to generate a SAS token and enter it here before you save and test your connection. And also you have to enter the parent directory name from which you will have to move the data from. So this is the directory name that I have entered, and the token generated, and also your storage account name. Once you have entered all the details, you can just save and further test the connection to double check if everything is configured appropriately. So now I'm going to quickly go and I have saved my connection, and I will also test the connection to make sure it is established. Okay, so I will just click on the next button if you see, and I will be navigated onto my target page. So my target here will be, the SQL Server. I will be syncing up the data from FNO to SQL Server. So I have entered and configured my SQL Server database as well. So I'm using this particular host, as you see, and also we have created a demo FNO database and created on configured and also entered everything here. I'm going to do the same, just save and test the connection. And next page being the objects page, where you can see all the objects related to your finance and operations ERP. I'll just give it a minute to load all the objects available. Okay, so there are like multiple objects, as you all understand. Based on your business requirement, you will be able to select all the objects or just the objects you would like to sync to your database. So now I have just selected two objects, that is email and team objects, for the purpose of demoing, or you can just select whatever objects based on the requirement. And I'm going to just show you the functionalities that is available. You can run the clean copy, or you can also do the incremental sync. So now we are just going to go and hit on clean copy, so that my team and email objects will be syncing to SQL Server. Okay, this is still running. As you see, the status, okay, now it is completed. And as you can see, we have synced email and Teams object from our FNO to the SQL Server database. So we have like automatic schema handling and also the incremental sync. So anything that you change on the object will be automatically handled and it will be synced into the database. So if you want to know more about the automatic schema handling, and if you want to see how the incremental sync is working, and how it is handled and all of that, please feel free to just schedule a demo with us, or even analyze your pipeline. That's absolutely free. And yeah, I think this is a pretty like a small demo that we would want to discuss here on the webinar. So I'll just go back to the slide for the wrap up. And the value of analytics depends like entirely on the quality and timeliness of the data. So with DBSync replication first approach, your Dynamics FNO data arrives clean, consistent, and immediately analytics ready. So like you saw, right, it will eliminate most of the engineering overhead. You don't have to write any custom scripts, or you don't have to write like any custom exports, or you don't have to face with that fragile pipelines. So this is how easy it is to just clean your data and also do the incremental syncs. You can just go here and schedule your sync to run every 1 hour or every 5 minutes, based on how big or how small is your data in the business. So as you see, we have scheduled it for every 2 hours. So it's all up to you as to how you schedule. So we would like to tell you all to just schedule a demo or try our FNO to SQL Server replication. And just feel free to even schedule a call for free pipeline assessment with us, so you can understand your current FNO integration, and also we can identify the areas for optimization. I would honestly like to mention the key takeaway for you to from this webinar is about how DBSync is bridging the gap between your ERP systems and modern analytics platforms. So this is going to definitely free your team from pipeline maintenance, and it's going to enable faster and trusted insights for your decision making. I hope we were of help, and thank you so much everyone for joining this webinar. Have a good day. Bye.